So we are going to carry on with our paint weighting of the elbow. So we've got our paint weighting set up there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my geometry around using the controls. So I'm just going to do this, and now I'm going to rotate this upwards. Now, as you can see, we get a serious problem. Any junior or beginner looking at this will go, oh my gosh, I've bust my rig. No, you haven't. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. What you've got to do now is reselect your geometry. So let's just make sure we can reselect our geometry. There we go. Hit your paint weights tool again. Now you can see that we've got a lot of influences on the FK joints. So that is being pushed and pulled by the influences from the IK. So what we're going to do is we're just going to turn those off. The way we're going to do that is simply go down and click replace and replace with 0. So we're just going to paint in R here, and I'm going to increase the size of my brush for this from radius U1 up to that. So 1.9, almost 2. In fact, I could just change it to 2. There we go. And you can see that's starting to repair our geometry, which is pretty good. Which ain't bad at all. Now, let's do the we got that one, so let's then go and do the other one, which is the elbow FK. Let's just do a quick repair there. So that's pretty good. Ain't bad. It's getting and moving a little bit. And now what we're going to do is go back in to our actual elbow joint itself, which I think is here, left elbow joint here. And then we're going to go down, add in our influence of 1, just start to gently paint in here. And you can see it does quite a nice job of fixing up those issues. Now we're going to have to work on our forearm joint. So the first thing we want to do is go up and find our forearm joint, left forearm joint, which is here, and we got to start painting in here. Now already you can see, whoa, this is a bit of a mess, but at the same time all we have to do is just go down, find our left forearm FK, replace with 0, bang, 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 and left, that's the right, sorry, not the left. So you need just to find it. You see, this is why you name joints, otherwise you get really left forearm joints. Where's my, there it is, left forearm joint IK. So let's just click on add 0, so that repairs that quite nicely. And then let's go up to our forearm FK, and you can see that that's really kind of fixing that area quite heavily. Go to the IK, make sure it's done, and then let's go up to our left forearm joints, somewhere down here, and we want to add in the influences. So I'm going to add in 0.5. I'm going to go up here. I'm going to choose a much more larger brush just to hang on, don't go too overboard with that. And then now let's do the wrist. So you can see, oh no, it is the forearm joint. Blast. I've gone and painted on the wrist. Hang on. That's neither here nor there, but if you make a mistake like that, all you have to do is just go back into replace, turn it down, and just make sure your value on your left wrist joint is 0. But anyway, let's just paint in where it needs to be. So left wrist joint, let's add in our value about here. Let's replace with 0 around about here. I'm actually just going to replace the entire wrist area with that. Then I'm going to go to my forearm joint, click on add, just make sure I am, yeah, it's good. And then now I'm going to do my wrist joint, which will be about here. But you can see on the wrist joint we've got to deal with the IK, which will be replaced with 0, as well as the FK, which also needs to be at 0. There we go. So that's pretty good. So you can see you can fix your model quite easily. Now, it does become quite problematic when it comes to shoulders, sadly. We may have to add a blend shape in there just to deal with it. As you can see, we've got our shoulder. It looks okay, but I'm going to just smooth out the top there a bit. But now what we're going to do is I want us to go down to the color ramp, and I want us to paint in a bit more color. So let's add in a bit of color, and we want to add in no, actually we want to replace it slightly with 0. Just 0 around here. In fact, I'm going to take off color ramp. Here we are. Make sure your opacity is always set at 1. Okay, so that's a bit more different. So I'm just going to click up here. That kind of makes it a little bit better. And then I'm going to click on add. I'm going to add a really small amount of influence just in here. I'm going to just reduce the things down. Just a small bit of influence around this area. Not too much, just a little. Because then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our left collar joint and we're going to start adding in influence around here. But then we're going to go back up to the shoulder, and I am just going to add in the teensiest bit of influence. I'm going to use that brush. Use just a little bit of influence here, or not. It's left shoulder. Probably going to just reduce my thing down. I'm just going to make sure this thing is, yeah, good. And then let's just make sure this is reduced down. I want to add in influence on these vertices just here. And I want to reduce the vertices